Big sales. Laughable. Hey, he puts up money. He's a sports bookie. And he's betting against you. Doesn't think Jalen Hurts is elite either. Man, this guy came out full guns a-blazing. Full guns a-blazing. Get that Miami hat on there. Full guns a-blazing. Man. Let's take a look at it. Hey, I want to get to the Eagles here again, too. By the way, I got coaches on the hot seat, but boy, I'll tell you what, man. Holy cow. That was good. We're going to have him again. You know why? He puts money up for it. Let's take a look at this here with the Eagles. Or with the 49ers. So we got the Cowboys. Cowboys at 12-5. Eagles at 12-5. This might actually come down to a pretty tight race between three teams. Okay? Here. Here's the Eagles, or here's the 49ers schedule. Pittsburgh, September 10th, they'll win. Pittsburgh. Win. They'll beat the Rams. They'll beat the Giants. They'll beat the Cardinals. I don't think they're going to lose to the Cowboys. This is one of the losses. Did I have them losing to the Cowboys? Did I have the Cowboys losing to the Niners? I did. So right here, Cowboys, the 49ers are 5-0. I think they beat the Browns. I think they beat the Vikings. Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7-0. I think they lose to the Bengals. I think they lose to the Jags. I think they beat the Bucks. So they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-2. Play Seattle in San Francisco. I think they beat the Seahawks. I think they lose to the to the Eagles. I think they lose to the Seahawks. Beat the Cards. Lose to the Ravens. Beat Washington. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I got them 49ers at 11-5, 11-6. So again, this is all determining on health. Yeah, Jameson, I got the Niners sitting at 11-6. They're going to get out of the gate well. That they could beat the Jags. They're going to split with Seattle. That division, they're going to, and their division record is They're going to have the same division record that the Cowboys have, because I think they're going to go 6-1 in their division too. I mean, the only game they'll split with Seattle, but they'll take the rest of those. They'll take Rams and Cardinals out, and they'll split with the Seahawks, and I think they'll have the same record. The two people that may hold back to Cowboys, Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy is the play caller. Weapon. Let me ask you this, though, and I hear people say that, okay? I hear people say that a lot, but let me ask you this here. Let's do this, okay? When it comes to play calling, was that ever really a problem in Dallas? The play calling, was that the problem in Dallas? The play calling. There's a new play caller too in Philadelphia too. Was that really the issue in Dallas? Kellen Moore. No one had a bitch with Kellen Moore when Kellen Moore was, putting up big numbers and big offensive numbers. The problem is Dak. Okay, well, Dak had, we had a conversation about that. We talked about that. Okay. Right. That's really true about the Philly fans. If you ever have lived there and went to all the game, that's all you want. You work your ass off for, and we love that forever. New play caller. No way Dallas gets 1 seed. Niners says I could see Dallas getting the 1 seed. And the reason why, but Niners not off, the reason why he's saying that is not because of Philadelphia. Dallas doesn't fear Philly, and Philly doesn't fear Dallas. Dallas's problem is outside of Philadelphia. Like I told you, the problem that you have with the Cowboys, it's not what they do against Philadelphia. The problem with Dallas is what they do when they play the Eagles. They win the game, they turn around and score only 3 points against the Saints. Cowboys can't put consistency up. That's what's got to be different this year. Okay? They can't. And here, what now that I'm looking at this, it is a three-team race in the NFC. Cowboys, Eagles, and Niners. What do the Niners do better than Philly? Can't say rush the passer. Can't say defend the pass. Run the ball better? No. Really, there's nothing San Francisco. But does what? That's a great one, Sharon. 49ers are better tacklers. And flies right too, special teams. You're right. Excellent. 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 They're a better tackling team than Philadelphia. Not a question. And their special teams are superior to Philadelphia's. Huh. Very true. Coaching, I got issues with Kyle. Protect the quarterback. Philly does a way better job. What does San Francisco have the kryptonite to attack the weaknesses? I love this topic. This is great. Let's start with the Niners, and we'll do the Cowboys next against Philly. What problems will the Niners possess against the Eagles? 49ers will be worse than you think. I don't believe that. I don't. Hey, quite frankly, Anton, you're going to have, if we're going to use your philosophy again, How do you know Jalen Hurts isn't a one-year wonder? You can't answer that. Just as I can't say he'll have a step back because he has no history of being consecutively and being consistent. He has no history of that. None. You know, you're going on gut feeling when you're talking about Hurts going to be good for the next 5 years. That's a fantasy to think that. You don't know that. He puts 2 good years together, those odds start to go like this. Hey, man, this is why you say this about Hassan Reddick now. How many people think Hassan Reddick's going to have double-digit sack years? Oh, I do. Why? Well, because he's had 3. I mean, eventually you can't just go, well, those were flukes. There's no such thing in the NFL, 3 years of double-digit sacks and calling it a fluke. That's not a fluke. Okay? Can San Francisco run the ball against that Eagle defense? Yes. You're not as good as you were a year ago. Yet, we don't know. Again, it's a question mark. I told you. The Niners are going to attack that. That's why you get Dalvin Cook. You know how to beat the Eagles? Get Dalvin Cook. You don't know if Brock Purdy's going to be there. Dalvin Cook gives you a chance to win with anybody back there. They proved it that you could have a nobody quarterback their team and get to the NFC title game. It doesn't really have to have a superstar quarterback for the Niners to get you there. They proved it a year ago. Get Dalvin Cook. Greasy goes quarterback. Greasy, figure this out. They played 3 quarterbacks and got to the NFC title game. You're making it sound like the quarterback issue on them getting to the NFC title game was a problem for him. It wasn't. It was not a problem. He had 3 different signal callers. Now, I think winning the Super Bowl, you have to have a guy. But he got there with 3 different dudes. And they won 12 games. You're making it sound like that was a big deal to them. It wasn't. Can we stop the run against San Fran? Sharon, that is the T-shirt that Sirianni should be wearing that week. Can we stop the run versus San Francisco? Because if you could stop the run, because they're going to come after you with that. And the cherry on top of the cake for San Francisco is if Purdy plays like he did a year ago, then you got multiple problems. Because you don't have a linebacker on that football team that can cover Kittle. You don't have a soul on that team that could cover Kittle. You don't have a soul on that team that could cover Christian McCaffrey. What if they have to rely on No Chance Lance? I agreed. Okay? 3 quarterbacks, though. But here, you don't have anyone on your defense that could cover their skilled guys. Who's covering Kittle? Who on the Eagle defense right now can cover him? Nolan Smith versus a perennial all-pro tight end. You're going to put on him a rookie. No way. Not a chance. Edmonds versus Kittle. You got a talent issue there again. Smith, look at what you guys are saying. Smith, Sidney Brown, you're going to put inexperienced players on Pro Bowlers and all pros that know how to move around back there. That's a remedy for disaster. That's the experience issue. Maddox, that's a talent issue. You really think Avonte Maddox can cover George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey? You think those guys can cover those guys? I do not. And if Pittsburgh thought Edmonds could cover him, he'd still be in Pittsburgh. I do not think he can cover him. You don't get rid of good players unless they're too expensive. And Terrell Edmonds was not expensive. So you're going to put a corner on George Kittle. It's a mismatch physically. See, San Francisco presents problems for the Eagle defense. Goddard outplayed Kittle. See, I think because of the end, Goddard was hurt last year too. Goddard doesn't have the hands Kittle has. I think Goddard's a better blocker and more physical. It's really close on who you would take in that argument. Kittle had 11 TDs. Man, that's a boatload, man. Wow. Man, he's a better pass catcher. He's a lot like Travis Kelce. Kittle's like Kelce. Okay, Goddard is more like Gronk. You know what I mean? You see what I'm saying? I mean, big, physically imposing guys. Goddard doesn't have the hands. Gronk's got the best big. Gronk has the best hands I've ever seen on a guy that big, and the best feet. To me, in my opinion, I don't give a shit about Travis Kelce or any of these tight ends that I've seen. Rob Gronkowski is the best tight end I have ever seen. He's 6'7", he's 280, he's got hands like Chris Carter. He'll knock you on your ass. He's a great route runner. He's got phenomenal hands in the red zone. Gronk was just a force. He was a force. Okay? Kelce's not any of that. Kelce's probably going to break every single tight end record there is, but he's not Gronkowski. Gronkowski is just, that is what a tight end, and he could take your defensive end and block him. Gronk was a special football player, man. When his name comes up for the Hall of Fame, I can't think that debate will be long. He's the best player I've ever seen at that position, probably going back to Kellen Winslow Sr. Look at Seattle's schedule. They could win the West. I think Seattle still has some deficiencies on their offensive line. I don't think their O-line is as hot as you think. I think the kid Walker helped out a lot in their offensive line. Getting Wagner back, the reason that they brought him back is because they didn't have a very good year. They couldn't stop people last year. The problem that they had on defense, and they put, as Warren Moon said a couple shows ago, he said that they've put a lot more talent on the defensive side. There's a lot of new faces over on that other side, and I agree with Yell. I think Geno Smith's a mystery. I don't know. I'm not a. You want to hear this? Pulling for the kid, South Florida guy. I'm pulling for him, but at the end of the day, I don't believe it. I don't believe in him. I don't believe he's that guy. I think it was a one-year deal. I mean, I know it sounds terrible, but I just don't believe it. Okay. I mean, this guy had a better passing season, as I said to you before, than what Jalen did. And I don't believe he's going to do that again. He's got really good coaching. There's some really good football players up there. They've got some skilled guys. We'll see what the new faces do in Seattle, but I think Seattle's the fourth team in the NFC. I think they're right there, but I think clearly the three teams are Eagles, Cowboys, and Niners. And the only reason that I think the Eagles have kind of walked back, look, the Eagles are walked back, but get this. Here's why the Eagles have, or the Cowboys and the Niners have closed the gap on the Eagles. It's not because it's a lack of talent. It's a lack of depth. I don't think you're as deep. I think you got two positions that you really have to fill. And you're talking to me about fantasy conversations about Penny and these other guys. It just doesn't add up to reality. When you guys talk to me about Rashad Penny and DeAndre Swift, it's not reality. It's wishful thinking. You got to replace 1,300 rushing yards, and you got to replace 11 touchdowns. And you got to replace a right guard who Jason Kelce says He's one of the smartest and best players he's ever played next to. It's quite an accomplishment, and it's quite an endorsement on what he thinks of Isaac Seumalo. Okay? So, again, I just don't think you're as deep. And you're younger and you're more athletic, but you're way more inexperienced. All the guys that you signed a year ago that panned out had NFL experience to them. All the guys you have now stepping into positions, Kobe Dean is an unknown. Jordan Davis is an unknown. Jalen Carter is an unknown. Sidney Brown's an unknown. Terrell Edmonds, how he fits into this system is not so much an unknown because he's played in the game. Morrow, probably kind of an unknown. But again, Morrow was just a guy. And the Bears gave up on him because they wanted to upgrade, and they upgraded with TJ Edwards. The Eagles signed the Bears downgrade. All unknowns. That's all I'm saying. Hey, those guys may all pan out like last year's guys. That's why, you know what? If I'm Philly, man, I bring back either Linville Joseph or Sue. I'd like to have one of those guys just as a, just as a safety belt, just to, I'd like to have one of those guys just to be sure. I might want one of them dudes just on my roster. So 49ers, man, now that you think about it, they have matchups against Philadelphia that they were never able to try to exploit in that NFC title game because they had no plan. They couldn't run the ball. That's why I say Cook helps you at least run the ball. You see, look, Christian McCaffrey's not an in-between the tackle guy. And especially when you have a defense that was playing at a high elite level the way the Eagles were playing last year. I mean, what did the Eagles do after they saw they lost Purdy? They squeezed the box. They dared them to throw the ball. I mean, how close were the linebackers to the line of scrimmage? They were almost right at the backsides of the defensive tackles. They were daring Josh Johnson and whomever to throw the ball. They just did not respect the passing game. Why should they? I wouldn't either. Okay? But if you put Dalvin Cook and McCaffrey back there, and you just have a dude, you're going to move the sticks. You're going to move the sticks. So the Niners are better on special teams. They could be better on coaching. You got two new coordinators. Now, the Niners have a new D coordinator. You got the same play caller in Shanahan. Got the better quarterback, obviously. And you have the better roster because of the quarterback. It's pretty close, though. Like, if you think about it, if you flipped it around with the Niner, get this. If you flip it around, who covers Goddard? Well, Fred Warner. Can the Eagles stop the run? Or can the 49ers stop the run? Well, now you have Armstead and Hardgrave in there. And Boza on your D-line. You've upgraded your D-line. You got an all-pro safety that could also cover tight ends. You're light in the corner, though. Your cornerback still, to me, if you look at a place where maybe San Francisco could be attacked still, is in the corners. Because I don't believe that San Francisco has exceptional corners. So you could probably still attack the cornerback position against the Niner defense. And they have the kryptonite. They got Devontae Smith and AJ that could go after both them guys. So Sales home field, where's the game? Let's figure that out here. So the Niners are going to pose some problems here. Let's go to Dallas now. I got them at 12-5 here. I didn't realize that, but can Dallas exploit the deficiencies on the defense? Like Dallas's running game versus the Eagles. Does Dallas even have a running game now? Advantage will have is most of the hard games at home. Something to that. Pollard, I think Pollard is kind of like a cheap man's version of Christian McCaffrey. He's kind of a cheap man's version of that. He's good. He's not him, but he's good. And are you going to run him? Are you going to run him for 17 weeks in between the tackles, knowing that that's your only backfield guy you have? And if you bring Zeke back, why? That dude has nothing left. There's no rhyme or reason. I'd rather bring Adrian Peterson back than that guy. I just don't see it. I mean, why? I agree. Neil, I don't think Pollard could hold up for 17 weeks running him in between the tackles like that. I mean, I don't see it. So that's why Dallas could be a place to look at Dalvin Cook. San Francisco, because of the quarterback situation, and Dallas, because if you're going to run the ball and you're going to try to help, Elliott will be helped more by a running back right now than by a wideout. What helps? Dude, that thing getting Kelce back. Kelce coming back, probably. Is that the biggest move that they've made this offseason? Personnel-wise, is bringing Kelce back the biggest move they've made? Yeah. 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 Now, Jalen Hurts' contract is not the biggest move. The biggest personnel move they've made is Kelce coming back. Okay? Jalen wasn't going anywhere. Kelce not playing and being, hey, how many times have you seen a young center get in there and fuck the whole season up? That's not what I'm looking for. Having to replace a center like that ain't it. I'd rather replace the right guard than the center or left tackle. That's how it goes. Okay? Center, left tackle, then you go from there. Okay, right guard, they're going to work around that. Oh, I'm saying Jalen Hurts thinks Kelce coming back is the biggest move. Oh, he said it in the presser. Well, that's what I think too. I think that's an enormous move. Enormous move. But the Cowboys running against the Eagles, I don't think is a threat. So you're not exploiting anything because you don't have the personnel to exploit it. Your wideouts, your tight end, you can't figure this out. The Cowboys really can't exploit any of the deficiencies like San Francisco can because they don't have the personnel. If you're going to exploit the safety position and the linebacker position, who's Dallas going to do that with? Pollard? Okay. Your tight end, I don't know who he is. You really don't have the personnel. Now, your wideouts, CeeDee Lamb, Cooks, Gallup, it's good, but is that enough? Does Dallas have enough to Philly Godfather sees Dallas, and I'm like, where is the position that Dallas is superior at? He's banking on Dak being the Trump guy, so to speak, today. He's counting on Trump. I mean, he's counting that the Trump factor in this thing is going to be Dak Prescott. Why would I think that? He's 2-4 in the postseason. He's not exceptionally been effective in the postseason. I thought he was terrible in that Niner game last year. I don't know. I mean, okay. Sports bettors are sports bettors for a reason. And CeeDee Lamb, I don't know. Jameson goes, CeeDee Lamb is not WR1 material. I agree. Like, CeeDee Lamb to me, Is he better than Reggie Wayne? Is he better than Marvin Harrison? No. Is he better than Devontae? Is CeeDee Lamb better than Devontae? No, goes F, no. Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison makes Lamb look like a boy. Yeah. I mean, what, because he plays on Dallas? Yeah, man. I mean, see, Dallas on defense, and see, and now when you flip it on the other side, what does Dallas do on defense that will negate some of the Eagles' strengths? They stuff their pass rush every time they play them. The Eagles do. Michael Parsons is a non-factor. And by the way, Michael Parsons is not only a non-factor, but he makes no impact plays against the Eagles. Like, he doesn't make impact plays. You know, I've said this to you before. You know, when you're an impact guy and you're an impact player, you're a guy like Hassan Reddick that is just humming around that corner, creating fumbles. Look, I don't think he's a very good tackler, and I don't think he can cover anybody. But I'll tell you what he does do. He creates turnovers. He's around the ball, and he pass rushes like a bitch. And you put those factors in there, they negate those other things, especially when you're stopping the run. The key to Reddick's season is going to be also those guys inside. If you can't stop the run, Reddick won't have a double-digit sack year. Okay? He won't. You've got to make sure that for Reddick to be successful, that you're doing a good – and I'm saying this. If the Eagles are, again, 15th in stopping the run, he'll have double digits and be great. You don't have to be top 5. You just have to be kind of where you were a year ago. If you're kind of where you were a year ago, Reddick's going to feast because he did last year. Because you guys went from 25 to 16 or 15, and he took off. It's all he needs. Okay? It's all he needs. He just needs you to – here, what he needs is 3rd and long. You can't have opposing teams in 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1. You're trying to put teams as many times as you can in 3rd and long. Again, one of the great things that the Eagles did a year ago was the fact that they were able to put teams in 3rd and short. They won 1st down. Key to their season a year ago was winning 1st down. So when you look at these 3 teams here, Dallas really doesn't have an advantage unless you think Dak's going to have a bounce back year. And to some of your point, how good were the offenses? See, I don't really know who Mike McCarthy is. So follow me here on this. Man, Mike McCarthy had Brett Favre. He had Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. Was it Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, or was it Mike McCarthy? You know, I mean, how good a play caller is he? I don't know. Kellen Moore, now he has – dude, Kellen Moore quit in Dallas. He wasn't fired. He quit and took the Charger job. Wanted to get out of Dallas. I don't blame him. You're not going to get a head coaching job as an assistant coach in Dallas. I mean, unless you're on the other side of the ball, because there's too many hands. This is what I think happens when you're in Dallas on offense. You got too many cooks in the kitchen. You got Jerry, you got coordinator, you got the head coach, and there's too many people with too many opinions on how Dak should throw the ball. On defense, it's why Dan Quinn is his own dude over there, and he could cook it any way he wants. Nobody's really in his way. But in Dallas, in the offense, there's too many Chiefs. You know, and you're not looking at it enough there. Twiz goes 3 quarterbacks. Didn't matter. They still made it to the – hey, Twiz, if the Philadelphia Eagles last year played 3 quarterbacks, there's not a chance in hell you're in the NFC title game. You're not a chance. So you're throwing stones at the Niners. They got there with 3 quarterbacks. With what we saw with your backups last year, with Gardner Minshew, you ain't winning ball games. You were not going to win ball games with Gardner Minshew. You'd be lucky to win 8 games. They went and won 12 games and got to the NFC title game with 3 quarterbacks. It's an argument you don't want to go down because it's not true. Okay? I think Jalen Carter might have a better year than the guy you signed for $22 million. There's a great chance of that, Nick. There's no doubt about it. Nick, there's a great opportunity, in my opinion, for that. Not a fair comparison. He couldn't run the system. Neil, why in the world, and here goes to your coaching, and why some people, even on my network, thinks that Shane Steichen's some sort of super duper like play caller. Why in the world would you run the same system RPO for a guy who's not an RPO? That's why when someone says Shane Steichen's one of the best play callers, well, when he actually had to be a play caller, he sucked. I mean, he sucked. I mean, he wasn't very good. Dude, Andy Dalton beat you. Dude, bad idea. I know. I wouldn't either. I would have put a pro-style offensive game plan in for Rush or for Gardner Minshew and at least tried to beat the Saints that way or the Cowboys. I would have tried to have done that. Pro-style 7-step. They didn't want to do that. They gave him – how about this? You gave Gardner Minshew an RPO that you or I could outrun Gardner Minshew in a 40. Why in the world would you do that? Whoever said that was smart play calling or game planning? That was, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I look at. So you telling me that you couldn't come up in a week with a game plan that was going to be conducive to winning football games? What the hell are you doing in the pros? I mean, you ran the same Jalen Hurts offense for Gardner Minshew, and it cost you 2 ball games. You're lucky you had such a lead, or it could have cost this coming year. You're not going to be afforded that if Jalen goes down. Better not run stupid offenses. You better run. That's why they went out and got Marcus Mariota, because he's kind of the same.